So, greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Dale Barzy. As always, if you like what you see and hear, subscribe. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. So, here on Nurses Talking, we speak to nurses anywhere in the world and at any stage in their nursing journey. Today, I have the very great pleasure of welcoming Keren Hardee out of Florida, USA. Karen has been a nurse for over 20 years. She's been a nurse practitioner for about 15 years. She's worked in many areas of nursing, adult critical care, neuro ICU, emergency medicine, among others. She has served as associate professor at a state college nursing program. She helped establish medical services component for a nonprofit pregnancy center. Karen's been busy. Now she continues to serve in a different capacity. She says, applying the same strategic assessment back thinking to financial guidance and long-term planning. So, welcome, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. But my first thing that I want to know from everybody is why they're nurses. So, what brought you to nursing?
I did a mentorship program in high school, and we had the opportunity to go into an area that we thought we would be interested in for a career. And I thought I wanted to do something in, the medical field. I just didn't know what that was.
Ah,
So I was set up with a nurse in a local hospital, and she put me with different nurses throughout the hospital in all different units, the OR, med surge, labor and delivery, and I got to shadow them for a period of time. And I just fell in love with nursing, all of it. The patient care, the critical thinking, the camaraderie among the nurses. And I knew from that time on that I wanted to be a nurse.
apparently she chose well. Your nice
Yes.
visitor, so your precepts as well. That's cool. That's cool. So you had an early exposure, and not very many people have the opportunity to shadow in many areas before they even make a decision of that this is what they want to do. So
Yeah,
from my perspective, that was huge. It was
it
really
is.
a good thing. Yes. But what challenged you?
In nursing?
Hmm? And even there, in your transition, getting into nursing school and nursing itself, what challenged you?
I think it was mostly, I was so focused on it and I really just fell in love with it. So I knew that's what I wanted to do, that I was able to go straight through in college. And I had the advantage of not wavering and not, changing majors. So it saved me a lot of time in that sense. I think the biggest challenge was probably just being naive to the real world and going
Yeah.
from being a student and then going into a full-time job. But as far as going through school and knowing that I wanted to be a nurse, I didn't really feel, I mean, nursing school was challenging itself, but I didn't feel challenged as far as knowing that that's what I wanted to do.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So, but you've been in that for like more than 20 years and you've
Yeah.
done a lot of different things. What what area grabbed you the most?
The ICU. I love the ICU, and I loved different parts about it. I really loved hospice care that we were able to do in the ICU or end of life care. But just the critical thinking aspect of it, the teamwork that was required, there's no way you could do the job alone, really in any part of nursing. But
Yeah,
um, I loved having the autonomy to be able to care for a patient within certain parameters and really know everything about that patient for that 12 hours.
yeah,
Um, you're in the room every single hour doing something. And I just
yeah.
loved being that engaged and that involved. I loved building relationships with the families because they were there a lot of times,
Hmm.
and you saw them day in and day out for weeks. So that
Yeah,
was
yes,
that's probably been my favorite. That and teaching. I loved being a professor at the
yes,
college in the nursing program. That was a special time.
yes, yes, yes. And you talked about the families in the ICU, and that is a huge thing because initially they come in scared.
Yes.
And then and as they see you work with their family member and as they see the progress and their confidence builds and then they come in, they walk in smiling.
Yes. Yes.
That's huge. That's huge.
And I'm still in contact with some of the families that I took care of their loved ones from years ago. They've reached
Hmm.
out to me, and my husband, who's also a nurse, he's in contact with some families too.
Yeah.
So it's special on both ends for them and for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So now you're now into financial services, and I really want to know what was the moment, what was the point that made you say, I've got to pivot. I got to do something different. Actually, that's a two-part question because I really want to know also, did you know then, when you decided you needed to pivot, did you know then that your nursing skills would come in handy in this pivoting thing?
That's a great question. And no, I had no idea. I had no idea. And I had no um, real thought to how this all evolved when it evolved. And I still work as a nurse, so always I always identify as a nurse
Yeah.
first.
Uh-huh.
Even after I became a nurse practitioner, my husband would ask me, if people asked me what I did, I'd say I'm a nurse, and he'd say, "Why don't
Hmm.
you say you're a nurse practitioner?" And I was like, "I don't. I'm a nurse. It all comes from
That's
nursing."
who you are, yes.
Yes. So I still do nursing in the ER, but this all came about because a couple of years ago, I opened up a financial statement and I was shocked at what I saw. Prior to that, I'd worked at a hospital system for about 10 years and I left to be a nurse practitioner. And it was a different role. And over the next couple of years, I kept asking different financial advisors. I asked three different financial advisors what I should do with my old 401k from that hospital. And, I asked other people, and everyone had the same answer. I roll it over into an IRA.
Hmm.
And so after hearing it many times, I said, okay, I'll roll it over to an IRA. So I went to a financial advisor with a, well-known company, and I did that. And after a couple of years, we had our annual reviews,
Hmm.
didn't think much of it. Um, about 5 years into it, I opened up my financial statement at home one day and there was this little graph, and it showed that my balance was about the same as it was from 5 years prior.
Hmm.
And it really shocked me because I thought, okay, well, even if, there are market downturns, there should be some kind of growth. What is
Yeah.
happening here? So I called and I asked, what happened? And she said, oh, well, the market's has had a loss, but it'll come back. Don't worry. And I said, well, how am I supposed to retire off of this? I want to retire within the next 20 years.
Hmm.
How am I supposed to retire if I've had no growth over five? How is it supposed to grow now and I
Yeah.
retire or even stay retired? That was a big concern of mine.
Yeah.
And so she didn't really have an answer for me. And that's when it really hit me that retirement is not only about accumulation, but it's about strategy. Like you have to have a strategy in place, and not just worry about accumulating money, but the strategy for distributions, a strategy for when you want to retire, what your retirement will look like, how do you stay retired, how do you prevent loss from your principal
Uh,
balance,
yes.
all of those things that no one ever talks to us about. No one ever teaches us,
Hmm. Hmm.
as nurses and healthcare professionals, we're very knowledgeable and skilled and educated on so many things, but financial guidance is not one of them.
I
So,
know.
so I got in touch with, I called one of my best friends. She's a CFO of a company, and she put me in touch with my now business partner and mentor. Her name is Rena Bermudez. And the more she taught me about all of these different strategies, the more it just lit a fire in me to share it with other people, especially nurses and healthcare professionals who spend their entire lives caring for other people. And then when we're ready to retire, we're not cared for. We're not able to care for ourselves, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And and not to sound too cynical, but um, healthcare professionals are prime targets for financial predators
Yes,
because we have earning potential.
yes, yes. And unfortunately, just because you have the earning potential and the income, that doesn't equal a true retirement strategy.
Exactly.
So that's the big difference. That was the disconnect that I finally discovered. My husband, like I said, he's also a nurse. We make a good living. But here I was 20 years in and not knowing if I would be able to retire.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's a huge thing. That's a huge, huge thing. So we're talking about that right now. So I think I'm going to jump back to a question I probably wanted to ask later, since we're talking about that. Is there a change? If you could suggest one change that someone could make this week, today, what would it be? One financial change.
I would say do in true nursing fashion, I would say do a financial assessment or a financial triage or review
Hmm.
of your finances, of your retirement accounts, and truly see what's happening in them. Go to a professional who is willing to help you build a strategy, a unique strategy around what you need and want. Instead of a one size fits all, instead of a set it and forget it kind of thing, because a 401k is a great place to start, especially with the matches, but that's not a true plan overall. That it shouldn't be the only part of the plan. And so I'd say do a financial assessment and find someone who can help you put it all together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the other thing that I think I want to say, or have you talk about, perhaps, is there are many people, you talked about being 20 years in, but there are many people who are 25, 30, 40 years in, who may be
Yes.
hearing you for the first time today and thinking to themselves, wait 1 minute, is this
Right.
where I am? What should they do?
The same thing. I would say it's not too late. I don't ever want somebody to be um, fearful that it's too late because the second best time to start is now. So, you know, you work with what you have, and so there's a point when you're about to retire too. That's really important. Not just the building part, but when you're about to retire, what's going to be your strategy to actually put that plan into place? So and that has to do with distributions, the tax impact that you're going to have when you do actually retire, how Social Security is going to fit in. So again, I would say find a financial professional, reach out to someone who can put all of that together for you. Because even if you have these different accounts, that's a wonderful thing. That's great. But now you need someone to tie it all together into one strategic, unique plan tailored for you.
Yeah,
And right before retirement is actually a really good point because you have the accumulation there, but now you need to know what to do with it so it will last you for the rest of your
yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the other, well, one thing I would think I would like to add to that is that your financial planner really needs to speak language that you get, that you understand.
Yes.
They tend to speak in language that, is like healthcare workers. I realize as healthcare workers, we find ourselves having to speak in language that our consumer can understand, the people we serve can
Yeah,
understand, and not get carried away with healthcare language. And I think I find the same thing with financial planners. Also, got to reel them in and say, what? Back it up. What did you mean?
exactly. Yes, that's so important. And I think that's where nursing ties into this, my
Yeah,
nursing skills, because a big part of nursing is education. Educating patients and
yeah,
families in the community and speaking in a way that people will understand you and the
yeah,
importance of it. And it's the same thing with financial services. It's taken me a while to understand the lingo in a way that I comprehend, and then I can speak it to other people.
Yeah,
So it's the
indeed.
same, it's a different language.
It's a different language. It's a different language.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. And not for nothing, but those financial statements, are like reading code.
Yes, it is. It is. And it can be really overwhelming too. So,
Mhm.
especially if you don't understand what you're looking at, but there is a way to simplify it. And the more you do simplify it and you're able to educate people, whether it be nurses or, just anyone looking to
Anybody.
retire, the
Mm.
more that you're able to break it down in a way that they understand, it takes the fear away. And it gives
Yeah,
them confidence and security that, okay, this is doable. I am going to be able to retire. This is what I have to do to get to that point. Um, and it just helps them feel more secure and
yeah,
comfortable.
yeah. Yeah. And nothing can replace that comfort level.
No.
So we're strayed into all of your
Yes.
financial thing,
That's
which
all
I
right.
know that you're passionate about. But you know what? I think that that's a really, really, really important conversation to have, as is evidenced by what you're doing, because as you say, so many people work for so long and for so
Yes.
hard, only to find that they can't really stop. They don't
Right.
have the wherewithal to stop, and that's really tough.
It is.
So. You worked though, to come back to nursing part a little bit, you worked in so many different areas and for a good enough period of time that you have a good perspective. So if someone asked you for advice about becoming a nurse, what would you tell them?
I think I would tell them to do it for the right reasons. I hear a lot, in the past couple of years about people getting into nursing for the money, especially after COVID. I think when people were offered all that, the COVID bonuses and COVID money,
Mhm.
people might have been drawn into nursing for that. But I think it's not beneficial for the person or the patients if you're not in it for the right reason. So I think that I would think about it that way. And then also to stick with it. It's hard. It's really hard. You have to be able to be flexible and fluid, and and that doesn't mean that you don't have a say, but you have to be able to stick with it and keep going even in the face of adversity.
Yeah, yeah, and that adversity is like a daily thing.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a daily thing. You've got to like kind of grow tough skin because otherwise it derails you. It derails you.
It
Yeah,
sure can.
you can't.
And I
You
think
can't.
to make it that as much as I love nursing and it's been my passion and my career, to not have it be your entire life. There has to be an outlet. There has to be a form of stress relief and self-care, whatever that may look like. So, I feel like as a new nurse, um, you want to jump in and always be available
Oh
and,
yeah,
be the best that on the unit or be the best at what you're doing, which is a great goal. But there has to be something outside of
yeah.
nursing and outside of the hospital.
Yeah. You can't lose you in it. One of
Absolutely.
one of the hard things to do actually is to leave work at work.
Yes.
And that's something that you have to find it you have to actually make an effort to find the mechanism that
Yeah.
allows you to leave work at work when you leave, because otherwise it just becomes your whole all-consuming thing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And that's
Mhm.
actually one of the reasons, as much as I loved being a professor in the nursing program, and teaching the nursing students, that was probably one of my favorite jobs. But that was one of the reasons I also had to walk away from it was we had two girls under two, and I was not able to leave it at work. I had people emailing and papers to
Yes.
grade and lectures to write and clinicals to do, and I wasn't able to turn it off and be there for my
Yeah.
family.
Hmm.
So the timing wasn't right. I do hope to get back to it one day because I do love teaching in that
Yeah.
capacity. But that is a really important thing to think about.
Yep. 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 And you have to find what works for you.
Yes.
Yeah. I tell people that I finally had to find a mechanism that involved changing everything, changing
Mm,
clothes. Um, at on the job, you're not wearing perfume and that kind of thing. But I
right.
needed even a different odor, so I would have a fragrance at the end of the day when I changed my clothes and
That's
whatever. There would
smart.
be fragrance as well
Yes, that's so
because
smart.
you had to leave it there. But you have to find what works for you.
Absolutely. But that's a really good idea because there is so much
Yeah.
that goes into scent and smell. Yes,
Yes,
that's
yes,
great.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So you mentioned just now about self-care. We talked a lot earlier on about financial self-care, but you also mentioned self-care. So what do you do to take care of you?
Well, I love to take naps. I
Good.
love naps. I love to read both for pleasure and for,
Yeah,
knowledge and learning.
yeah.
Um, I love to spend time with my family is the number one, my two girls and my husband. That's the biggest thing that I do is spend time with them. We have a
Hmm.
bunch of animals, so I love being with our animals. We have a horse, and so horseback riding and just being out
Hmm.
there with her just calms me down and kind of grounds me a little bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's another thing that you have to know what works for you.
Yes.
Self-care is not a universal thing. I mean, it's not a
No.
one thing, it's so individual and it changes from day to day.
That's true. That's very true. And my husband and I both, we also, as part of self-care together, we also love to travel. And that's
Hmm.
a big thing. We're able to just step away, even if it's for a couple days,
Yeah,
just go somewhere and not have to think about the everyday things.
yeah,
So we try
yeah.
to do that every couple of months, and that makes a big difference.
That's really huge. That's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Yeah. Karen, thank you so very, very much for this conversation.
Oh,
Any
thank
gems you'd
you.
like to leave us with?
I don't think so. Well, actually, I think as part of nursing, we do take care of everyone else. And it's really, really important to take care of yourself too, and whatever that may look like. But I think we focus on the taking care of ourselves mentally and physically. And I just want to plant the seed that it's also important to take care of ourselves financially.
Yeah.
So, the future, you can have the life and the retirement that you worked so
Yeah.
hard for.
Yeah, yeah, and as you said that, it occurred to me just now that one of the things that we do, because we have the potential to earn, is put off that actual financial planning thing. We think, oh,
Yes,
I'll just pick up another shift, and I'll do that later.
exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. And we all know that nurse that's been at the bedside for, 30, 40 years, and she looked older when we started nursing and she's still there.
yeah,
We
yeah,
all have experienced that. And it
yeah,
comes from a fear of not knowing if you're going to be able to
yeah,
retire or
yeah.
if you're going to outlive your money.
Or
And
if you're going to,
so,
yeah.
right. Or picking up extra shifts to pay for stuff.
Hmm.
But when you have a true strategic plan, and you have a way to prevent loss, um, put guardrails up, you know, I like to think of
Yeah,
it too. We put guardrails up for our patients. We put the side rails up on the bed so they don't fall to keep them safe. Well, there's ways to put guardrails up on your money, on your retirement plan, and so that it doesn't falter, and so that it'll be there when you're ready
yeah,
for it.
yeah,
So those are all things to think about, and even just planting the seed today to get people thinking. So, like you said, it's not 20 years down the line. And you're like, wait a second,
yeah.
what happened? I blinked and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Um, it's never too late to start, but just start looking into it and get with somebody who can help you build that plan.
Karen, thank you so much again for this conversation. I truly enjoyed it. It has been really informative. You've given so much knowledge in this half
Uh,
an hour that we
Thank
have
you.
spoken. Thank
Yes,
you.
it was a pleasure.